Good morning everyone, we are leaving Melbourne this morning to head back to Sydney and starting the BYD Atto 3 this morning. It's showing 96% state of charge, 463 kilometres, so minus 15%, so let's say about 400 kilometres, maybe a bit less on the highway. And our first stop will be Euroa, Chargefox, and it's telling us we'll arrive there at 9:05 a.m, 1 hour and 42 minute road trip, 166 kilometres. It's currently 7:23 a.m, 20 degrees Celsius. All right, let's head on our way. Okay, welcome to Euroa Evie charging stop, Chargefox. Get a 20% discount here. It's saying 47% state of charge currently. It's a lot of glare here, can't see much. 89 kilowatts. And we have the RFID card, so we could tap there. And here it is charging away, well signed there, electric vehicle charging only. There it is charging away, the BYD Atto 3. And it's very close to the McDonald's over there. And then you've got the service station just over there as well. Got 1, 2, 3, 4 charges. So quite a good stop here at Euroa. Let's go for breakfast. And in the car, 49% state of charge, 36 minutes remaining to get to 100%, getting 89 kilowatts. Okay, well that was annoying. I had to come back to the car because there was a charging error. No reason given, as you see, but got it going again. And yeah, 51%, 35 minutes remaining. All right, take two. Let's hope this stays charging this time. All right, let's go check on the charger. Again, a lot of glare, but I can see it is about 90%, 34 kilowatts. We've been charging for 27 minutes. I'm pretty happy with that, so that should be enough to get on our way. So let's press stop. RFID card to stop it legitimately. We're allowed to stop charging, easy. All right, let's pull out. Pop it back in. All right, good to go. Let's head on to Barnawarth, the North, Chargefox, which is about 150 kilometres away. Okay, so we are at Barnawarth, the North, Chargefox chargers at the Victorian border. 1, 2, 3, 4 chargers, 2 times 50 kilowatt chargers, 2 times 350 kilowatt chargers, NRMA discount, 20% off, very happy. Charging at 89 kilowatts, another 35 minutes to go, 50% state of charge currently. We're just gonna pop into the servo there at the BP, there's Hungry Jack's, amenities, etc. Just for a quick pit stop, and then we'll come back and head on our way again, back towards New South Wales and back home inevitably. Just to give you an idea of how hard these machines are working, listen to that when it's charging away there. Again, looking at the sign, it's very hard to see with the glare, but it's about 50 odd %, 89 kilowatts. And I just noticed too that although we do check in on PlugShare everywhere we go, Google Maps actually gives us an idea of how many chargers are working at any one time, or if they're in use or in maintenance. So it's probably good to check PlugShare, Google Maps, and obviously the native Chargefox app or Evie app if you're planning an Evie road trip. Okay, so let's unplug. We've got enough charge to get on our way. It's still 34 kilowatts at quite a high state of charge. I think that's about 95%, so that's plenty enough to get to Tarcutta, which is our next stop. All right, let's press stop. Please use your phone to authenticate. So yeah, it's saying 93% on the Chargefox app. So let's press stop there. Stopping a charge session. Click, good. All right, let's unplug. Tycon's heading off. Okay, unplug. Back in the cradle for the next user. All right, let's head off.
Charging faster.
Ah, the Tycon's pulling up next to me. Okay. All right, moving to the faster charger. Okay, so we've arrived at Tarcutta, which is about the halfway point between Sydney and Melbourne. 48% state of charge. It's now 1:18 p.m, 26 degrees Celsius. We're making good time. We just got to wait a little bit because both Evie 350 kilowatt chargers are being used, one by Polestar, another one by a Volvo XC40. Not sure if it's a hybrid or a full BEV, but hopefully we won't be waiting too long, and then we can plug in and have a bit of a stretch and maybe some lunch as well. Okay, so we're plugged in at the Evie here at Tarcutta. We didn't wait too long, maybe about 5 minutes. The other Volvo XC40 recharge told us that they'll be done at 80%, which is very nice of them. So currently it's about 49%. We did start at 48%, 89 kilowatt top speed, and here we go, it's plugged in. Now I must admit I did a silly thing and I forgot to close the cap and the cover for the BYD. So I'm so used to driving a Tesla where the charge flap closes by itself, so I must forget to put this back on each time before we go on our way. Anyway, hopefully it didn't cause too much drag on the highway. All good. So there we are, 2 EV 350 kilowatt chargers working hard. There's the power pack next to it. And then here at Tarcutta, which is the halfway point between Sydney and Melbourne, we've got the servo just there. So you've got amenities in there. It's got food, toilets, convenience store. A good place to stop here at Evie, well marked. And yeah, we'll top up here for a bit longer and then we'll head up on our way to probably Yass or Jugiong, because Gundagai is not working at the moment. Okay, so we're at 96% state of charge and 4 minutes remaining to 100%. Still charging 33 kilowatts. And the machine says the same thing over here. And what's really interesting is that the Polestar next to us, they started earlier, but have a look at this. Well, you can see that it's now 92%. They're charging at 14 kilowatts. So even though they started later, we're actually ahead of the game with the BYD Atto 3. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, 98% state of charge. The next destination is Goulburn, Chargefox, 234 kilometers away. So that should be enough charge, enough range. So let's stop. Press the stop button there. Return plug. Now I should note too that, of course, if someone's waiting, I would probably finish sooner. But because no one's waiting for us and we're having lunch, I was happy to keep going until pretty much we're ready to go. So unplug and then put it back in its cradle like that. And of course, this time I'm going to remember to actually recap everything. Be driving again with this. I don't want to do that. Okay, shut the lid. All right, away we go. Thank you, Evie. Okay, so we've arrived at Goulburn. It's about 4:20 at the moment, 4:20 p.m. It's cooled down a lot. And we're charging at the 350 kilowatt charger, getting 86 kilowatts, 21% state of charge at the moment, but we did reach here with 19% state of charge. We left Tarcutta with 97% state of charge, so that's a nice little range test there. 97 to 21%, 234 kilometers. So this one's working fine. It's a 50 kilowatt charger over there. And unfortunately this one here is out of order. Screen is out. And there is coffee behind here because these are, well, this is the service station building. Amenities there, nicely new renovated toilets, and then just literally a minute walk to the next car park across the street is the McDonald's. Have a look at these guys down here. How funny are these fellas here? Keep us entertained. And there's the Atto 3 there charging away. So we shouldn't be here for too much longer, and hopefully this will be the last stop of the day before we head home back to Sydney. Okay, so 95% state of charge. It's 17 degrees, it's 5:14 p.m. currently. We've got enough to get back home in Sydney. Still getting 33 kilowatts. That's pretty good at 96%. Let's unplug. Okay, so let's unplug. So stop the charge, return plug, and unplug again. Cradle back. And of course, put this back. Get into the habit of doing this. DC charger component, AC charge component. Close the lid, and away we go. Thank you, Chargefox at Goulburn. Okay, so we're finally back in Sydney. It's 7:27, which means that we've been on the road for, pretty much 12 hours. So 12 hours from Melbourne to Sydney in the BYD Atto 3. It's 45% state of charge now, 218 kilometers left. And that's the trip computer, 871 kilometers. I did Only put it on about 20 or 30 kilometers into the trip, so yeah, almost 900 kilometers today. So that's it, Sydney to Melbourne in the BYD Atto 3. Okay, so we're back home in Sydney, and just to finish the video, some talking points for this Melbourne to Sydney leg. So we took 12 hours door to door from Melbourne to Sydney, and that's almost 1 hour quicker than the Sydney to Melbourne leg. Why were we quicker? Well, a few reasons. Number one, we skipped 2 charges, namely Yass and Sutton Forest, and also we did not detour to Jugeong to check that charger out this time. Why? Well, I guess we felt more comfortable this time around going back to Sydney, knowing the route and also what the car was capable of in terms of range. Didn't quite top up to 100% each time as well. We were happy just sitting around that 90 to 95%. The last 5 to 10%, by the way, charging an Evie in general is disproportionately slower compared to the first 90 to 95%. So keep that in mind when you are driving an Evie on a road trip. Also knowing that it was 7th of January compared to the 3rd of January from Sydney to Melbourne, there's less traffic on the road as the year goes on, as opposed to that really busy period between Boxing Day and New Year's Day. So we were happy to go further each time in the car and not having to charge as much. Sure, the charger reliability anxiety remains unchanged. Each time we get closer to the charger, that anxiety comes back. We learned also that Google Maps also shows charger availability at each location. So that's another good reference point for you on your journey, in addition to PlugShare and also the native charger apps from Chargefox and Evie. The question remains, could we have saved even more time? Well, perhaps another 20 to 30 minutes could have been shaved off even more had we charged at the lower end of the car's state of charge. For example, arrive at about 20%, top up to 60%, and then repeat the process at the next charger. But as I keep mentioning in these videos, my trust in the reliability of the network is still not as good. And that's the non-Tesla network I'm talking about. That's why I don't want to risk arriving at a charger with 20% or lower each time, and then for the unit to fault unexpectedly. That's not giving me enough range to go on to the next charger, and that's very risky for me, especially when traveling with my family. The answer once again is more chargers at more locations with different variety, or diversifying with different types of charging brands, and that way that dilutes any supply issues moving forward when it comes to repairs and maintenance. Also just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who commented on part 1, Sydney to Melbourne leg. I read every single comment, by the way, and so I really appreciate your input. The aim of these videos is to always give you a snapshot of the reality of electric vehicle ownership in Australia. Now, of course, everyone is on a journey with regards to transitioning to EVs, and that's okay because we all know that conditions will improve with time. However, there are some concerns I want to address with comments from part 1. Yes, the Tesla supercharger network is far more reliable, that's quite clear. There are more stalls at each location, minimal, if any, faulty units that I've ever come across on previous road trips with my Tesla. Some comments around ICE cars only needing a quick fuel stop between Sydney and Melbourne. That might be true, but ask yourself really, how many times would you realistically stop, regardless of your fuel gauge, on an equivalent drive between Sydney and Melbourne? And on average, how long would you actually stop each time? And that's especially true if you've got other passengers in the vehicle, especially a young family. If you're going to stop anyway, then maybe a quick top up with a charge may not seem too onerous. And certainly some EVs, some newer EVs can charge quicker, such as the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Kia EV6 can actually charge quite quickly these days. Okay, so some statistics now for our Melbourne to Sydney leg. We stopped 4 times between Melbourne and Sydney, 2 less than the Sydney to Melbourne leg for the reasons I've already outlined. And in total, it cost us $74.87 for that journey. An equivalent petrol car at 5 litres per 100 kilometres at a cost of $2 per litre of petrol would have cost $90.60. And if you've got an even less fuel efficient car at 10 litres per 100 kilometres, it would have cost you $181.20, about 2.5 times the cost us to drive an EV for the equivalent distance. So the total journey was 11 hours and 52 minutes, of which 9 hours and 18 minutes was spent driving, and 2 hours and 34 minutes was spent charging. So that's 78% driving and 22% driving. And the total energy efficiency was 199 watt hours per kilometre. And that's very similar to efficiency for the Sydney to Melbourne leg. And viewers who watched the first video of the Sydney to Melbourne leg will know that I updated the efficiency of the journey after taking into account the final hotel charging. The average charging time was 39 minutes, and sure, we stopped less, but we actually stopped longer each time to take that into account. And also in the end, even though we stopped less, there was a similar driving time to charge time ratio compared to the Sydney to Melbourne road trip. And this time around was actually more expensive as well because we skipped the free NRMA charger on this leg. Alright everyone, that's part 2 of our Melbourne EV holiday, highlighting the Melbourne to Sydney leg, and many thanks again to BYD Automotive Australia for loaning us this BYD Atto 3 to test out on this EV road trip. Thanks for watching everyone, and until the next Ludicrous Feed video, Happy charging.